So it's the second full week of my new job. I left my job after 10 and a half years as a preschool teacher, um, which was not an easy decision. I didn't think I'd ever leave that job. It was a fulfilling job, the most fulfilling job I've ever had in my life besides being a mom, because I was a teacher to 10 to 14 children, depending on the day, and they were all mine. And I loved them, and it was wonderful. And then it got harder, and kids have changed because positive parenting has happened, and tablets have happened, and children don't know how to just be. They have a rough time being bored. They have a rough time waiting their turn. They are self-important. And children have always been that way. That's just the norm. But I've never seen anything like I've seen in the past 4 years, 5 years. There's just a change. When I started working at my daycare job years ago, we were doing kindergarten work with 2-year-olds. Past 3 years, I've seen a really big decline. The last two, my first class, I had them for 2 years. They were really good. They were really good because I had worked with them and they knew what I expected and they knew how to work with me. And they were smart. They knew their letters, their shapes, their colors. They knew how to do critical thinking because we talked about books and we had discussions. And then the last two classes coming from positive parenting and teachers who didn't teach, who just let the chaos be chaos. Children don't need that. Children need restrictions and they need boundaries and they need to be taught how to behave because otherwise they don't know how. And if we are not doing that as people, then how are they going to learn? That's why we have a world of crazy right now, because we have given into chaos. And chaos is not healthy or good for anybody. I've never seen a bunch of 3.5 to 4-year-olds who are not afraid of anything. There's no fear in even being called their name to stop. Or when you ask them to apologize to someone, they are not capable of doing that. Literally can't do it. Refuse to say sorry. I've never seen anything like it. So now I'm working in a couple of different jobs. It was not easy to leave. The stress level in my last job was very high. Plus the benefits of working in daycare are minimal. I still wasn't getting paid vacation after being there 10 plus years and being a faithful, loyal employee who worked, who wasn't afraid of work, who wasn't afraid of the job, who didn't ask questions, who just did what was asked and expected. And the work never ended. Weekends you spent coming up with a curriculum for your children in the class to make it exciting for them, to make it engaging for them, for their different levels of abilities. You had to consider all of that stuff. So no benefits. I needed benefits. And so I found something that was not the perfect job. The hours are less. I work right now. I was doing 40 hours and now I'm doing 22.25 hours, trying to pick up hours anywhere I can. So the money is the same. There are benefits, but the paychecks are low. And in this economy, a low paycheck is scary and painful. And I don't know how we're going to do it. But I do think that in the long run, all directions led to having to go. And it was not a decision that I came up to very lightly. It took a long time for me to decide to leave that work. And I get to go back there occasionally. I wish it was more when they need me. I'm still floating because the job that I took is a bus monitor job. One-on-one for someone on a bus. And there's no stress to that job where all I did was have stress. And so when my my past job needs someone, they call me. Unfortunately, the hours have been 4:30 to 6:30. And that's kind of hard because my job starts at 6:55 in the morning. Um I'm going to be a big girl and do this because I do think in the long run something better will come up, and sometimes we just have to jump. We just have to stepping out the door for a job I was at for 10 plus years, in a job that I loved. I loved the kids. I didn't love everything else, and I loved the families. That was hard. So now everything is going to be cake. So jumping off was hard. Jumping into this job because of the hours was not an easy decision. But I'm working at the high school today as a lunch monitor. It's only for an hour, but I'm going to do whatever needs to be done to try to recoup hours. And I did it yesterday. It wasn't terrible. It's high school. They don't really want to be spoken to. They don't really want to talk to you. And that's okay because I have a balance with the preschool that I still work at, and I get to go there and I get to love them and be with them, and there's no stress of being the teacher. On Halloween, I had such stressful Halloweens there, kids in costumes and parents, and walking down the street with all of these kids and getting them out of their costumes and then being all sugared up. This time I got to go there and just enjoy it with them. And that was so much fun to just be there with them, to have them be excited that I was there, to get to watch them experience their third Halloween. They didn't remember their past. They're only 3 going on 4. So that was fun. I don't know. It's a beautiful day. I'm trying my best to just keep myself looking forward. The end game is eventually there's going to be something better. As long as the benefits come in and as long as my husband and I can swing it, this isn't a terrible way to make a living. There's no stress. I guess I'm going to look at it that way. I think that people have enough stress in life. We are stressed over all kinds of things. And with the holiday coming up, I'm not only stressed about what to get everybody, which is always a stress, but it's to be able to afford to get everybody. And I'm going to try to not focus on that. I'm going to try to focus on shopping locally, getting everybody something that I think that they will like, and not worrying about, is it enough? Did I give them enough? Because when I think about what everybody's looking for, I'm not upset when someone gets me a candy, a box of candies, or a card, or moisturizer, or a hand sanitizer. It's just the fact that they thought of me, and I'm going to try to think about that as I shop this year. I'm just throwing a bunch of stuff on here. There was no reason to record anything. There's no milestone, nothing major going on. I'm going to this job, and I had some time in between the 2 shifts, and I'm sitting in a parking lot, and I've been reading, and I don't know. I have a YouTube channel. Maybe my kids will look at this one day, and they'll just hear my voice or know who I was or what I was feeling or what I was thinking, and I'm going to let it go from there. I don't know how often I'll do this. Maybe in between jobs. Maybe whenever I have something to say. I think that these videos are so important because as someone who lost their mom really young, I was 12, I don't remember her voice. I don't remember lots of things about her. My childhood was not the best, and that had nothing to do with her. Other things, but she passed when I was 12, and I are going on 12, and I never really got to know her, and I don't want my kids to ever wonder who I was, what I thought, what I felt, and I never want them to wonder what kind of person I was, because that's one thing I wish I knew about her. Not her as a person. There's no one who can tell me that. I had someone that I spoke to that was her best friend, and we talked once. Because I think that I finally found her when she was older, and it was traumatizing for her to hear my mother's name, and so many years later, many years later. My father, he could only talk about her as a wife. Her brother can talk about her very little. And my grandparents are gone, so they could have only spoken about her as a daughter and what they knew, because our parents don't know everything about us. I think that I'm going to try to do more of these. I think they're important. Security's spinning around my car. I guess they don't realize that I work here. Oh, he's moving on, so maybe he just needed to check things out. But time check is 9:53. I don't start until 10:30. I guess I'll read again.